they complete more and more of these items, it can become tougher and tougher to really find those ways in.
Fair enough. Well, Kassadin banned away this time around by FlyQuest. The Elise, the Ziggs, the Zac brain work at some point here. One final ban here for Immortals. See what they want to add to that one. Still plenty of tanks available. The Gragas is up on the wings, and the Jarvan gone, but the Kennen's available.
And this may be actually a LeBlanc first pick, perhaps, for FlyQuest. We could see them go that route if you ban out the Kassadin. That is one of the kind of traditional counter picks. It's not going to be the case here, but an early round ban on that could have suggested that would be the way they go.
Sure, and you might still see a LeBlanc here as the trade. I think it's been an improvement that I've seen this summer split as teams are much better at setting up trades champion for champion to make sure they're getting something good on the backside for the first pick Kennen, the first pick Zac or something.
One of the risks, obviously, of banning out a counter to a champion that you're not necessarily going to first pick is then if your opponents are happy to play that LeBlanc, well, then you banned out probably what you would have wanted to play against it, or perhaps one of the options you would have wanted to have open against it, but that may not come to fruition regardless.
Yep. First is going to be locked in the Gragas flex pick. We know it can work in the jungle, expected it the last time, but we also know that there's plenty of teams who are happy to play Gragas into Kennen top. Regardless, it'll be LeBlanc in the mid, as you had predicted, as a high priority champ with Kassadin off the table, and that is the trade.
Yeah, so, I mean, they're going to be able to make the trade, and now it's just who gets more out of this? I mean, End is High trying to kind of bait them into it, right? Does he have another pick that he thinks is really strong into LeBlanc? Something that you would expect him to have prepared, because if I'm seeing the fact that you're banning out Kassadin to set up for a LeBlanc, your other team should be expecting that as well, and you have to hope for High that he has an answer to it. Perhaps something like the Syndra here could be a good choice.
Moon gets his Rengar. Always fun to see experts on this champion. In a state, again, I'll say it from the previous game, where if you're good at it, you can still bring it out, but most teams don't at this point. Orianna in the mid lane here for High, playing a pretty trademark champion for him as well. FlyQuest, though it is almost definitely going to be AD Kennen, maybe Walter brings it in bot lane, we have something else come out of the top, but it certainly seems pretty good for team fighting with an Orianna in the mix, and you can even deliver the ball with the Rengar.
Yeah, it really does, and we have actually seen, if it does go to Turtle, which I'm not expecting, things like the Shen combo can work very well with that. Obviously, that's banned out, but Rengar plus Orianna being able to kind of collapse on side lanes where the Kennen is split pushing, regardless of it if it's top or bottom, is going to be very powerful, because eventually you want to get into a side lane and really kind of work your magic there as Kennen.
So interesting stuff right here. Immortals have instantly locked in the Lee Sin for Xmithie, so we're definitely seeing Gragas in the top lane. Unless Ole plays a support, that is increasingly unlikely. Kennen remains a flex, also unlikely, but the Ziggs banned off the table, and they're going to remove more options from Wild Turtle, it seems, as Ole's Bard is also gone.
It is kind of interesting to see them actually go this route, because Gragas is very tough into that Kennen. And sure, you can have very strong gank assist, you can make plays in the team fights and stuff, but generally Flame has been a guy who it feels like more wants to play for lane, and something like a Jace being available is a pretty good matchup into the Kennen. You can kind of answer and sometimes get advantages in that side lane, but they're going to be looking more for the team play, and they do have some answers for later against the Kennen. Someone like LeBlanc can go a Gunblade Lichbane and try to split push against him, that sort of thing.
Sure. Yeah, one of the counter picks I like seeing was Someday played Lucian top into it, and actually this exact player, and it worked well for him, but not the case here. Karma gonna be grabbed for the support role here for Ole, and with all the support bans coming through, Zyra, Thresh, Bard all off the table, Karma's next up on the list. And no Lulu's to be seen for quite some time. Wildcard are gonna go for his next champion. He's played 2 Jhin, 2 Varus, 1 Ziggs, and I forget what he's gonna be going for next. Don't know just yet. Lulu may still be the pick, and it means that they want more time to figure out what they want to play. They knew they wanted Lulu. That'll get locked in. They still think, okay, still what do we want to play in this bot lane here? Will it be more CC? Will I go back to a champion I played before, or will they go for something different?
It's certainly, they've set themselves up for the ability to go for hypercarry here. If they want to go that route, you certainly do have a lot of protection, but Ashe does work well with the initiation here. If you can hit an Ashe arrow, follow that up with the Rengar Orianna ball combo. Lulu also powering up the Rengar. You can ultimate him as soon as he jumps in. You have double speed ups there too. That can be very powerful initiation. Xayah is a pretty nice choice, because Xayah is one of the best AD carries at actually absorbing those sorts of initiation. If you're on point with the ultimate, you can use it to reactively dodge the Ashe arrow, the Orianna ultimate, things like this.
Or a Rengar diving on you.
Or a Rengar diving on you. And these sorts of things really can turn around fights big time.
Yeah, a lot of big things out of that one. The only thing it doesn't do very well is dodge out from Kennen, because the Maelstrom stays alive and you'll get stunned when you land. But otherwise, you're right. Positive interactions down the line, Cody's son. I think it's a good pick based on the enemy composition, and we'll see what he can get out of this one. Generally speaking, Xayah is more of a kite-back type of champion. We'll see if that ends up being an important play style for them, as FlyQuest should have the split push lead. Rengar can split if he needs to, and a cannon is supposed to be off on the side, so Immortals do need some kind of forward motion, and it's going to require maybe a Flame TP or a Sickic Smithy gank, but otherwise, it is a bit passive of a composition, and I wonder if this ends up being an issue for them, because they don't have those same team fight powers they did in the previous game.
Yeah, they don't, but at the same time, I mean, there is explosive initiation with Lee Sin, kicks and Gragas ultimates like Body Slam Flash. You have Lee Sin, Warthog Kick Flash. These sorts of things are ways in, and you do have some follow-up with that. If you can actually knock someone into a Xayah route, that's a way that you can get kills, things like that. You also can spread out the map and have Pobelter looking to split push. I'm not sure if they're going to go that route, but I think that they are a team that's going to have to make some plays, because if you play too passively against Orianna, Ashe, Lulu, Kennen allowing to get that split push priority, I think that Immortals is going to lose this one. So they want to be able to put focus, keep Kennen down, don't allow him to bully around Flame, and then try to make some plays here.
We'll see if it's going to happen here into this one. Here we go into game 2. FlyQuest sadly winless, hoping to turn it around here in this one and reverse seep their way into their first match win of the summer split. Immortals looking to improve to 3-1, bouncing back after a loss to Team Envy last night. And we know they can do it up 1-0. They can make this one happen. We'll see what comes through.
This time, both bot laners going to be starting with that Doran shield. Obviously not on the Caitlyn, so perhaps a little bit nervous about playing with the Doran's Blade this time. And I think it does make a lot of sense, on both sides. Karma can poke out the Ashe pretty heavily, and and Xayah should be theoretically kind of pushed in and bullied a little bit by an Ashe in the early lane.
Exactly. And to be clear, this item is, I think, inarguably overpowered. So if it's even close as a lane matchup, you want to go for the Doran shield. It's only when you're unquestionably going to win the matchup that you go for the air quotes weaker item, because you can go for a slightly greedier opening here in this one.
Because
so,
it's more stronger offensively.
Right, exactly. It's like a Caitlyn shouldn't almost ever need a Doran shield unless you're literally facing Karma Ziggs, in which case, okay, he probably should have gone Doran's shield, and he might have regretted that, even though they did end up winning the game. Now we are into this one here, 1-0 for Immortals, minions spawning in 10 seconds, and nothing too crazy has happened in the early game.
The only thing I would point out is kind of the corrupting potion here for Pobelter, which I think is somewhat atypical. Not completely used to seeing that. As a start, very often you do see people actually going simply for the Doran's Ring, and they're trying to set up this invade. They do get the ward down the Raptors pit, so that's going to give them some information on where Smithy's going to start. Though I'm not sure he actually is going to start Raptors anyway, because Gragas is not coming to leash for him, and Lee Sin starting Raptors without a leash is just awful. Yeah, it is pretty rough. Looks like it's going to be a red solo for Smithy. He can do Raptors afterwards and come down to the bottom side of the map. And all they know is that he didn't start Raptors because they've spawned and nothing's happened. That was in vision of FlyQuest otherwise. Moon getting his solo run throughout his attempt at the Raptor pit himself. He's actually going Storm Raiders on Rengar, which is a little atypical. I see Thunderlords more often usually, but he will have the extra movement speed now in a fight. Well, I do agree. Traditionally it has been somewhat atypical. We're seeing more and more of movement over to Storm Raiders, especially in Korea and regions like that. With even champions like Kha'Zix really going heavily on Storm Raiders, people are starting to value it more for the late game and mid game power that it does have. Even though Thunderlords is kind of stronger at getting that initial kill and bursting someone down and perhaps getting you snowballing, if you can do it anyway without it, you're incredibly strong in late game fights, and you have a way in and out. Yep, absolutely the case. And I do think it is very good as well. Just interesting to see that movement over time. Nice little trade by Pobelter. Corrupting Potion on is some trade damage, but High gets his own Thunderlords triggered. That's always very important when you talk about Thunderlords. Mid laners still seem to run it all the time, or almost always, and making sure you get that third hit off is pretty important as far as trading is concerned. Yeah, it's extremely important because it has a fairly long cooldown, so you want to be triggering that as frequently as possible. Also for Pobelter, if you're going to go that Corrupting Potion start, you kind of have to play somewhat aggressively and look to trade with that Corrupting Potion, because the burn from the active is very important in kind of the value of the item. Right, it's like arguably the same total mana as a Doran's Ring. It's more total health of regeneration, and then competing with the 15 AP with the burn damage, it can be more damage as well. We have to see based on how you play it. And Smithy just kind of wandered through mid lane there. That was bizarre, because I believe he was actually spotted by the minions. There's no reason to reveal yourself by doing that. He can simply Q over the wall from behind the turret, so that was pretty weird. And
Ooh, Knight thought he's dead. Tick. tick. One more. Pobelter's gone. First blood to High. Amazingly well played.
Very well done, and the fact that he knows where Smithy is kind of allows him to do that there too, because Smithy could have been in a side wave, but he knew. He went over the wall to the Raptors, so High makes the aggressive play, gets first blood.
That was really nicely done. Pobelter had traded out his health bar too much. He had gone through his corrupting potion stacks, all 300 his health of it, and came out the worst for the wear at the end of it all. Nicely played by High, just flash QW ignite.
This is very, very well done. I mean, Pobelter is having the wave push against him, so he wants to get it up to the turret. That's the biggest thing there. He wants to fully shove in the wave so it doesn't get frozen against him and he doesn't lose out on the experience, but ends up going very bad and High. Getting that solo kill.
Really nicely done by him. He had gone equal in an arguably bad matchup talent to Ari, and now getting the first blood solo kill in the mid lane, running ignite and doing well with it. Pobelter, of course, can TP back to lane with his new Dark Seal, and he can stay afloat from there. High had to make the walk, but he's got a lost chapter, and it's going to feel pretty good for him.
It's one of the interesting things, like kind of the dichotomy of, which summoner spells have advantage over the others in mid lane. And, I tend to think that, ignite into super passive summoner, aka like TP, you can have the advantage there because you can maybe, force your will upon them. But if your opponent is, say, playing with heal on Orianna and you have TP, then I think that is definitely advantageous to the person with TP because you're not going to be able to get pushed out, you're not going to be able to get bullied, and now you have more lane priority. But Pobelter going this was risky, didn't have a combat summoner, gets punished for it, but obviously trying to prioritize split push pressure and side lane advantage later in the game.
Flame just gave away. Smithy was there. Still going to be a couple hundred damage right there. Not going to find a stun quite yet, but you saw Flame actually had walked briefly through the minion wave for a second, expecting Smithy to maybe try to go for the gank because of how far up Balls was pushed. And then Balls, once he actually is pushing to his turret, goes for the ward, takes a bit of damage, and now Moon gonna steal away this Grom.
And although he did get a little bit of a chunk on it, it's sometimes not actually worthwhile because Balls does have that Doran shield. He's gonna want to base relatively soon anyway. He's not under threat from Smithy whatsoever. So revealing yourself again their second time for Smithy means another advantage for the other team. Moon's able to go and take away that Gromp, and I'm not sure that it was really worthwhile.
Balls up 12 CS in this matchup, though. Well played.
One little thing, this is pretty minor, but I would have liked to see Balls actually group the minions before you base. So if you stand up and you actually tank a couple shots from those minions and then step into the bush, they will actually naturally stack up and push towards you. So you will deny a couple more minions from your opponent there, and then have the wave collecting by your turret as you walk back. So it essentially forces your opponent to either TP back or just lose out. So these little things are something that I'm always disappointed when a pro player does not do because that's so easy to do. It's not like it takes any sort of actual skill. You just have to know to do it.
Right. It's a zero risk, medium reward play, which everyone, whoever has heard of game theory in their life is like, oh, of course I'd make this play. There's no downside. I can only gain out of it. So unfortunately not laid there by Balls, but he's at least won the landing phase, has Vamp Scepter, has a dagger. We'll see what he can get from this one. Triple Thorn's Ring for Flame should mean better push priority, but we'll see how the trades go.
Yeah, by no means is it like, oh god, he's screwed now, but it certainly is something where he could have got, a couple more CS advantage. A couple more CS can really make a big difference, and experience as well is kind of king in top lane. Oftentimes, especially in these tank matchups, you know you're going to fall behind in gold, but you're trying to stay even in experience because the amount of stats and the amount of power you get from those level ups are so big. So you really don't want to miss out on that, and that is why freezes and lane manipulation is so ridiculously important in top lane, and it's why it's a lane that I think requires a lot of knowledge about that to be successful.
Well, 2-on-2. Balls who shows up first, but Exclaim is around, so here comes the fight. This one's going to jump into this one. Big slice of Maelstrom is across. Good damage up with there, and Moon forced the guy back. Pobelter also joining in first. They know all three are here. This could be risky, though. Looks like High is coming around from the side, and they're not going to find a fight just yet. But they are just buying some more time. And
now that High has pushed us in, they're actually gaining an advantage in the mid lane because that full wave is being denied, and then the wave will push away from Pobelter. So, now that he has come over there, it's not too bad. But the initial start of that was pretty risky, seeing as Pobelter was going to be able to make the roam first. It hadn't been fully pushed in, and that's why Moon is going to have to blow that ultimate to get out.
This is the case, so Pobelter lost an entire wave, plus the 2 melees on the next one. That was the punishment he took for roaming in first as High shoved in, and you can see the minions, though, still close to equal thanks to Pobelter's TP. Quick blue buff transfer, Moon doing his job properly, and there we go, pick up for High, 100 gold to him. And they're going to continue on pretty happily in this mid lane right here. Overall gold-wise, of course, 600 lead for FlyQuest. First blood will be that for you. 400 for the kill with no assist, 200 from farm otherwise. Top landing a big portion of that one. Fight in the bot side, no root yet for Wild Turtle. Kites back on towards the feathers, but of course, the root has been pulled back, so no longer any risk of running downwards. Ole is still poking, and overall, it is a lane lead for the Immortals squad. The priority on Karma seems to be paying off. They've got the lead in the 2-on-2.
They also got a very good buy for Cody's.
Oh, yeah.
Being able to get that BF sword on your first back is so nice, and it's often something that is not really that realistic in these 2v2 lanes. You can't always get the bot timings to line up for that. So having a BF sword against the recurve bow is going to give the combat power advantage heavily, I feel, over Cody's Scepter.
This is the case right here. I'm actually a little bit surprised as well that Wild Turtle went for recurve bow and not Vamp Scepter, because I don't think he's going like BF sword Hurricane. I think it's going to be a Ruin King build, and if you're the losing lane getting poked by a Karma, why not go lifesteal? I'm just a little surprised by it, but
I guess the thought process here is simply that he can survive without it, right? If you feel like you have enough, kind of staying power with just that Doran shield and perhaps some mastery, lifesteal, that kind of thing, then you would be confident that you don't actually need to go that. In that case, recurve bow is a higher DPS item.
Yeah, and I do want to correct myself. Recurve bow no longer builds into Hurricane, so it has to pretty much be Ruin King at this point. Old habits die hard with that one, but there we go. Vampire picked up regardless, and you're right. To be fair, he was full HP the entire time. Didn't seem to be too bad for him, so I guess it's a whatever. Yep. He's got both items now either way, and back to the lanes they go.
But those are some of the interesting choices in lane, right? And there's not always one right choice. It comes down to not only which item is kind of like mathematically the best, but it's playstyle. How are you going to utilize it? Will you play more aggressively now because you have that lifesteal and can gain an advantage there? So there's so many different ways to look at itemization and the advantages that you can gain from both correct itemization and the correct playing of.
Absolutely, stuns coming across. Nice! Oh! Cast well-timed flame. Gets rid of movement, still rooted up. The flash follow is there. The kill comes into the top lane. Despite his best efforts, flame goes down.
All right, I maybe got a little bit too excited for that ult, but that was actually really well played then by Flame. I have never actually seen that. The predictive self-ultimate from Gragas to knock Moon out of that jump. Unfortunately for them, not only does he go down, Pobelter TP's top. They're going to maybe even lose this turret. Looks like they won't, but losing another minion wave or minion wave and a half and a lot of turret damage.
High's going to get rooted up. Flashes the wall. He's afraid of getting chased, and the shockwave means nothing as well, but he knew Smithy was coming around. And it's out of that just being way too safe. It's the right call there.
Is able to get out, but here's the initial play. And this is why, you really don't want to body slam forward aggressively like this in lane. It's really your only way to escape. And that was a beautiful self-ultimate, but because the body slam was down, Moon is able to land that nice empowered bola and not really able to get anything done with that. And, this is one of the things that you have to know about playing into the Kennen. So if this is a matchup where you can actually poke the person down, I'm fine with you body slamming forward. But when you're playing against someone who already has a Vamp Scepter, who you're never actually going to be able to really solo kill, and a Doran shield, so it's like he's going to be able to heal up this poke anyway off of the next minion wave. So why are you really body slamming forward and trying to get that poke down on him?
Yeah.
You should always be holding on to it for either a defensive option or an all-in. Those are only two uses of it that are acceptable really in lane.
And Xfinity was nowhere nearby. There is zero chance it turns into a kill, so I think you're right that it's zero reward, medium risk, and it turned out to be the exact opposite, so unlucky.
It feels bad to play lanes like that, where you essentially have to accept that you do not get to play offensive ever. As Pobelter's looking for a kill on high. Remember, he has no flash.
Short on the mid lane, plenty of rich there. The kick to the side lands the Q. Pobelter getting the kill credit as best as it could have been. Flame tried to roam, landed nothing, but at least the effort was there, and one kill finally on the board for Immortals, hoping to come back.
Yeah, and they are going to be able to get both the Dragon and High kind of pushing up, really trying to take down that turret. He has worked it down very, very low, but gets punished for that, and then Immortals don't know that they're chilling out on this ward, so Turtle very intelligently, not backing off too much. He's trying to stay both in an area where he's safe and an area where his opponents don't know that he knows, so he can waste their time.
Absolutely the case. Ward times out on the brush. Ball's getting away from Xmithy's Q, but by seeing the skill shot, knows that Lee Sin is around, and Ballsby's smart enough to play more defensively, knowing Lee Sin's top side. It also allows Wild Turtle elimination to play with a bit more abandon. There is no Lee Sin near them. Smithy on Krugs right now. Flame trying to zone Balls off the wave, and you can see it is a 26 minion lead. Props to Balls for a well-played lane so far. Forcing recalls, doing a good job with farm, and getting that kill thanks to Moon's gank.
One of the other kind of tough things about this is, Gragas is on a pretty powerful point for him with the triple Dorans. Like, that is a lot of early game power, but you're still kind of losing. And when Blade of the Rune King is completed, you're going to be having an even tougher time. And you're so far away from those important full item completions from this build, but it's kind of necessary to get through those.
A little chunk out there from High, but just kind of pushing Pobelter away. Elimination still backfilling the mid lane. They're leaving Turtle a bit alone, but that means he's now in a bit of a weird fight as he doesn't land the arrow onto Ole, who flashes sideways a bit to not get landed. Mid lane still under fire. They're trying to give the gold to High. 2 more shots, and there it goes. 375 to him.
So all that pressure from high finally paying off because of the convergence from FlyQuest, but you have to think that Turtle should have been able to hit that ultimate. There actually was a ward over the wall, so if he had a little bit of patience, he could have actually seen where his opponent had flashed to and then shot the ultimate, but he instantly shot it out where he thought he was going to flash to, even though he had vision.
All right, so maybe a mistake right there by Wild Turtle, but all said and done. It's still an advantage for the squad. Immortals, though, do nicely in their bot lane, and credit to them roaming out to say, well, we're going to lose bot soon enough. Let's make sure top falls first, or mid falls first, and it means that the 350 bonus gold for first turret goes the way of FlyQuest, but the bot still does fall, which is credit to the Immortals duo in their laning phase.
It's a pretty interesting build, actually, from Cody-san here, too. I haven't really been seeing any IE first
Seen a couple.
on Xayah.
It's rare, but I've seen a couple.
Yeah, generally, I've been seeing mostly Essence Reaver. And I have been seeing when people go Fervor, sometimes just Blade of the Rune King. Generally, the two combinations I've been seeing most is Essence Reaver plus Warlords or Blade of the Rune King plus Fervor. But here he's going to go Fervor and IE, which is going to be very high DPS.
Yeah.
You're just not going to necessarily be able to kind of like keep up your spam of abilities because you do run out of mana.
Yeah, so it's mana and cooldown gating, absolutely, because he's probably going to go double Zeal item from here. And what's nice is if you're a double Zeal user, you only have the one attack damage item, which means you actually want the Fervor attack damage to keep your multiplicative scaling going because you're sitting on just the IE, and you're going to TP the bot lane, and there's nowhere for Turtle to go. He's very much alone on this one. Doesn't get rooted up, tries to do it with Cody's son, doesn't quite have the damage, and now he's got to run away towards the turret. And unfortunately, he's going to give an assist over to Flame, so more total gold will be gained. While Turtle going to flash to buy some time, gets away from Explosive Cask, but he's slowed again, and he flashed to die anyway and get nothing else for it, so Turtle choosing to lose his flash for nothing.
Yeah, he's obviously trying to make the big play and get out there, but it would have been tough. And now Smithy looking for a play here on the balls.
Don't think he got aggro, but he's got the rest of the team around as well, so one more shot will do it. Falls, gets taken down by the Mimic, and down he goes. One kill picked up. Immortals now 3-2 in this one, bringing the gold much closer now as High walked up the top lane. Alongside elimination, and they've got enough power to kind of push the team back and doing what Balls did before, getting some autos off the turret. Good work by him to get some of the earlier damage. Moon coming for the flank on the backhand side as well. Most of FlyQuest are up here. Turret won't fall yet.
They is spotted out, but Immortals should be able to hold on to this turret, and Cody-san was able to shove the wave in all the way, so kind of extending his minion advantage. Smithy needs to move up and try to help give us out if they are going to try.
TP. Cobalt wants to rejoin the fight here. High pulls aggro by poking at Ole, and turret now then about 1/3 HP up in that top lane. While Turtle comes back down to the bot side, they know he's there. Balls is respawned, heading up through the mid lane as Flame is pushing that in soon. They're going to find Moon, a lot of damage there. Can he stack up his passive? Not just yet. Needs a 4th skill to cast. Now he can get rid of CC. He's going to time out soon enough anyway. Plenty free for Ole, back up to 3/4 HP, and looks like the crisis in top lane's been averted.
Worth pointing out that Pobelter did go into Gunblade here too, so that is more of kind of like split pushy build. You can go Gunblade straight into like Loops or whatever, or something like that, but a lot of times you will see Gunblade plus Lichbane because that is very, very strong for split pushing, and that may be their eventual answer for Balls. You take TP on Pobelter, and you go that sort of build, and you hope to match up there.
Interesting situation on the map right now, I want to point out. Both TPs for Immortals are down, but Balls TP is up right now. So generally speaking, FlyQuest should own the map in terms of split pushing and playing for an objective. So what's interesting is this Mountain Drake's coming up in 30 seconds. Immortals shouldn't really have any rights to it because someone's got to be top lane at some point. But FlyQuest aren't playing in a way where Balls can TP down from top lane. They're just all kind of matching lanes, and they're not using the fact that they have rights to this Drake.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that is to do with the fact that FlyQuest doesn't have any vision around that area. So they're not feeling confident to actually, I think, move forward and try to establish that. They're trying to move the pressure up to the top side. Maybe even if your opponents go for that dragon, you could look to trade Rift Herald. And if that's a trade that you're willing to make, that's okay. But you know, it's hard for Balls right now because there's not much information for him on where the enemy team is. So he's not shoving it up. He's not really pressuring turrets. And that's when you can kind of get the most out of your TP. When your opponent has to answer at the turret, then you can back off, TP away, and get something done somewhere else.
Yep, we'll see if they can make that one happen then as the lanes have been matched up. Has a complete mirror here. Balls versus Flame in this side of the map. 40 minion lead for Balls plus that kill. He is certainly ahead right here. Flame just stacking raw armor and not buying health, which to be fair is actually really good scaling against the Blade of the Ruin King. It doesn't do anything when you don't buy any HP.
It is pretty nice for that one matchup, but the only scary part and one of the, we're going to see an engage here in mid lane, but maybe not.
So, yeah, Moon not going to find the target just yet.
The one thing that's very risky about it is you're going up against an Orianna who actually has a lot of magic damage.
Yeah.
And as a frontliner, you're building no health and you have no MR.
Yep.
And that means you get shredded by any consistent damage mage.
Oh, Moon in the 1v2, gonna land the root. He's got balls nearby. I guess now a 3v2 at this point. A half HP cutting away. Root's gonna land stun as well, and they have chunked out Flame. And magic damage certainly can be viable. High could nearly kill him with just a shockwave at that point, with the rest of his combo coming through, I suppose. Soldier around the horn, gonna look for a bit of damage right there. Half HP, shockwave gonna find him, and Smithy choosing to not go in. No damage yet from Ole.
That Turtle is actually staying top lane, so the Ashe is going to look to try to pressure this turret, take that down. But Cody-san is already mid lane. He has that turret even lower, and Immortals are starting up the Dragon.
Right, these two bot lane marksmen kind of a lone 1v0 push, and Cody-san's going to go back to the top lane, but that does give enough time for this kill to come through. Now Ball's in a bit of a pickle right here, 1v2. CC landing for Flame, going to land the slow, but they're going to flash to land the spells, and that'll be enough damage, making sure it comes through. So bot lane kill comes in, and now Cody-san 1v1. Turtle flashes
nice
the
flash.
arrow. But does he have the damage? Turtle's got to get away from the roots. He's continuing to flash to kite away. Storm's not going to land, but finally gets that last little bit of damage. Now Moon on the re-engage. Ulti comes in, just the dive from the river, I should say. Not an ult at all. Gets the kill picked up as a trade.
Yeah, not too bad, because he did get the turret first, and it's actually, Summoner out of Cody-san there too, so they get the trade kill. Theirs has an assist behind now, was sitting on a ward. Doesn't have to get out.
Close things right there. So second Bone Tooth necklace stack in for Moon. He got one off Flame, and now he's got one off Cody-san. 3 more to add to the trophy collection. We can watch this fight again.
And this flash, so nice from Cody-san, flashing over the arrow there from Wild Turtle. Not going to be able to get stunned up, but Turtle doesn't have mana, and without that arrow hitting, really doesn't have much of a chance to win that 1v1. So Moon able to come in, clean up, and smart by Turtle to kite down towards the river where his Rengar is coming.
So many smart plays, cutting both towards his minions for minion damage, and as you mentioned, towards the river because Moon was just there to leap. If you're going to die, that is the best way to die. Go up and assist, give a Bone Tooth stuck over to Moon. Honestly, as best it could have been for him, because that turret kill, super worth it as well.
And the fact that Moon didn't have his ultimate up at that time, he wouldn't have actually been able to get the kill had he not had access to that bush jump. There would have been no way to actually catch up to Cody.
Really nice stuff right there. And now we can see how the lanes are set again. 2 turrets apiece. Looks like bot lane had fallen significantly. I guess we kind of missed that underneath the replay, but bot lane tier 2 fell in favor of Immortals after that kill on balls from before. So they'd actually made quite a bit of pressure happen. This game equal in gold right now.
Yeah, Pobelter and Flame were able to push that one out, take down a turret there, and Immortals was able to get some pretty good vision in the red side jungle from FlyQuest, and they have, I think, it's fair to say, been doing a better job with vision in general. Smithy and Ole have been moving around the map a lot, and you can see that their vision is just like so much deeper. They have more of it. FlyQuest, the map is so dark from them.
Find what they can. Smithy gonna kite back. It's slowed down by Lulu a little bit. Now it's gonna try to find a wall to jump through, and it can only go for the flash, and that's a stun. Cody-san did not dodge much of that one. Here comes a leap, and Cody's done. Sayonara, he's gone. And Moon says goodnight to him. 1 out.
That's got to be so frustrating for Cody-san. His ultimate just came up as he died. It was about a second away there, and if he had an Essence Reaper, he would have had the CDR.
The pros and cons of a higher damage build versus a higher utility build. In this case, by 2 seconds, gets punished for something. And as you said, it's all subjective. This was one of the cases here. Now mid lane under fire. FlyQuest wants to take a bit more down with this. Mid lane down to 2/3 already. Slow into Ole. High shields, kites back. Belter. Polymorph out he goes. And here comes the attempt, and it's going to be a knockup on Noise. Look at the damage they've got right there. The trade into high, they're going to pick him up. Elimination nearly gone as well. Explosive Cask only brings in Wild Turtle. Flame missed his target, and Balls comes in for 1. He's going to find a second. And Flames with the flash back away. It could have been a better fight for Immortal, but the skill shots did not land. Pobelter not going to have a chase. One more shot. Turtle could almost kill him, but his flash is down. You know he would have tried if he had the option to. And the engage, they're going to almost find Balls. Not quite picking him off on that one, though. Out he goes, just barely surviving. Good shields at elimination. Immortals keep the turtle alive.
And Cody-san not able to get Balls. Would have loved to get that kill. Pick up double buffs for himself.
Yeah.
They do keep the turret alive, as you said, but giving up a number of kills there. And that's a tough fight to make work for Immortals because they're so low damage without Cody-san. Flame and Smithy are not really putting out a massive amount of DPS at this point, so it's a very low DPS composition if this 80s carry ever goes down. Here's the fight again. Smithy looking to make the play as they had Gragas flanking in, but if you can't get the turtle, you're never really going to be able to win that fight. And they were able to knock him in, but Pobelter was already zoned out, and that's really the only follow-up damage available.
And then he flashes out to that point. And just barely the rest of them kite away in this one. So game, again, back to almost the same. 300 gold separates, and the Mountain Drakes only matter if you're attacking turrets and attacking a Baron Nash or something. Now, to be fair, that did happen. Cody's unable to knock down the mid-outer turret finally as a result of those Mountain Drakes. I think he wouldn't have quite had the damage otherwise, but now here comes the attempt of Immortals to take a lot down this one. Yeah, ball's far away on the bottom side of the map. 4v5 for this one. Arrow's gonna land the stun into Ole, plenty of damage on Karma. Barrett helps and High gets the kill. It's a bit of a 4v1 on that. And Moon forces Kai back, but heals back up. Shockwave gets double kill for High. Looking for the third. It's going to be picked up here by Moon, finding a bit more. And Flame's got nowhere to go. The red buff is on. That's the kill coming through. 4 for nothing. And Cody Sun forced to run away. Who's going to win? It's Sun versus Moon. It looks like it's going to be Diana's people winning this one. Here's the kill picked up. An ace for FlyQuest. They've got any objective they want.
They're able to pull off the 4v5 essentially. Ball's showing bot without TP this late into the game. Prompts Immortals to try to go for that Baron, but still, it's only 23, 24 minutes. They're going to take a lot of damage from it, and the 4-man squad from FlyQuest able to make it happen. High with a fantastic shockwave, and Immortals were not really able to fight back whatsoever.
Well, looks like it might be going to a game 3 if FlyQuest can make this one happen. That said, I've seen Baron power plays get turned around before. Watch this fight again, though, and Ole just gets blasted.
Yeah, exactly. It's a great ultimate from Turtle. They're able to take down the support immediately, and although Flame was over here, on Turtle, he doesn't have enough damage by himself to ever do anything. So the team is split up. They don't have all their DPS. You're able to corral them right into balls, pick that up, and you need to be with Cody Sun. Cody Sun needs to be putting out a ton of damage in the team fights if they're ever to work. So you need to be protecting him, peeling for him, and splitting up the team fight so that manageable pieces are knocked into your Xayah that he can then pick off.
Absolutely the case right here, and even the 2-man shockwave. This was not a surprise shockwave. This was not High flash sombrero ring. He queued forward. It was on the ground for 4 seconds, and Bobalter and Smithy go, "You're just gonna sit on top of this. Let's have a party right here," and they get blasted with that one. So certainly some misplays are happening, and in large team fights, it's hard. Like, to be fair, League of Legends is an incredibly difficult game to play, and watching it's easy. Playing it when there's 17 things happening at once is difficult, but the mistake was made, and it was a good shockwave all the same by High to make it happen. And now with this FlyQuest lead, 5,000 gold, Clouddrake picked up.
There's just so many things to actually track in those fights. You oftentimes can lose track of that Orianna ball. It's very easy to do, and with Flame engaging essentially on the other side of that ball, he very well may have been calling for the engage. Hey, like, I got Turtle, right? Try to get over here, but Orianna's fantastic at zoning you out and kind of corralling you in that way.
And I like this. Ball's still doing very well for himself in the 1v1. Farm lead almost 80 now in this top lane. Might flame Horizon, flame himself. I'm sure it's happened before, but Ball's looking good so far in the split push duty. Again, I think he has stepped up so far this year. He's been a good top laner, a player who'd been maligned before. Elimination backfilling on this side of the lane. Gets some ward vision and hopes to get a little bit of turret damage as well. And at this point, Flame doesn't have the damage to do much for this. Just put the shields on Balls, let him go for everything. You can see him giving some respect to the chance of body slam, some respect to the chance of an explosive cast, but then under fire, will go down to 3/4. And here come the attacks onto that turret. Moon's waiting for an engage.
Yeah, Moon's just trying to threaten them off the turret, basically. Pop that ultimate, threaten the combo with the Orianna Ball, and they get a lot of damage down onto the turret. Thanks to that, Balls is still pushing it in the bot side. He's going to pick up that tier 2 and start to threaten the inhibitor turret there. FlyQuest may look to try to step forward and actually finish off that mid lane one.
Another turret down. 5-4 in the turret score. FlyQuest lost the first 2 Drakes. The Mountain Drakes don't do anything at all on defense. Mid inhib. Turret gonna fall. Stun's gonna find Cody Sun, but they don't have the kill just yet. Shockwave catches Smithy. The kill comes through to elimination. Wasn't able to get away with that one. Already burned his flash. Cody Sun jumps into the air.
Whoa!
That was a nice play from him. Flash to redirect the feathers. And that was a big play out of them. The damage up with their elimination nearly falls, but Powolter cannot land that final shot. Now forced to cut away from Balls. Cody Sun gonna lose the plume damage at this point. And there's the buff gone. 1-for-1 in that fight, but look at how much that base has fallen. The inhibitor in the mid lane is gone.
And Cody Sun does not really have much lifesteal at all, so if he gets chunked out of these fights, it's hard for him to heal back up. He can't really re-enter.
Yep.
So while he does have pack a big punch at first, I mean, you hit this guy with an Orianna ult or really anything, and that's the end of the fight for him. And FlyQuest wanted to push in. They had the turret very low. A High does put the one-man shockwave on Smithy to take him down, and Cody Sun, really nice flash, as you said, to redirect the feathers so they would come back through High and gets that kill. But at this point, even though he is very strong and has some shielding supports, he can't get back into the fight because he's too low and Balls is going to zone him out.
Yeah, they came very close to getting those final autos elimination, but you're right. There is so much threat from the rest of the team. You don't always have to go for that kind of stuff right here. Ardent Sensor early pickup for Ole will help. There'll be some life back, but the way the piercing feathers work on Xayah, they do not trigger on hits. You don't get tons of healing because of the pass-through damage. You need Hurricane for that to have any kind of multi-healing, but now Vampire picked up means he will get some of that sustained back as he continues to scale up.
And he's not going to really need Last Whisper or anything like that too early. Yes, there is some armor being built up on Moon, but it's not the biggest of deals. And I think that, you know, going for something like a Bloodthirster here is completely reasonable in a build. Absolutely agree. How do you feel about Death Stance on Xayah?
I actually like it a lot because the idea of getting 40 CDR is a pretty big deal because you want to spam consistently because your W is an important steroid and it doesn't have 100% uptime. You want to have as many feathers down as possible because you want to spam E because the damage is insane. Like, yeah, I mean, I think CDR is a great stat on that champion. Like, I go S3 for every game because I think it is so good. But auto attack damage is nice. He went for the IE double crit build, and you know now we'll just have to see what it is.
And he does still have the ability to theoretically pick up an SMG as that last item, but probably
100% crit.
And FlyQuest is just going to go straight for the inhibitor. Balls just had to disengage there. Well done by him, and now that means the inhibitor turret's going to be going down.
And a force flash out of Ole. Moon now going to dive in. He's going to find the root. Unexpected knock up there from Lulu as well. Stoneplate pop for Tankiness, and Turtle gets the kill picked up. A spree for him. And now into the bot lane inhibitor. FlyQuest might just find their first game win of the split, hoping to turn things around. Still in week 2 of the North American LCS. Of course, they have many more to play, but it was a depressing first week, and this has been looking much better than the first ones. FlyQuest 2 inhibitors down, Balls kiting back pretty cleanly. 300 to 214 in that top lane. Now a slow on a Gregan. Turtle gonna kite back, Balls gonna find a little bit more poke, but here we go onto the top lane inhibitor. 15 seconds still. Onyx Smithy's recall looking to knock down a couple more buildings. Redemption for the heal. Moon feels pretty good. Can he find the root on somebody? Shockwave gonna get juked out by Cody Sun. Looking for the damage, gonna find a little bit right there. Into the front line goes Balls, can't find anything to do. One more shot comes through and Cody Sun gets the crit. Look at the damage output from the lightning as well. Takes him down. Cody Sun's build certainly doing things sometimes. Walter still wants to chase though. Can he find elimination? Gotta be respectful of Whimsy. Will be disengaged for FlyQuest, knocking down the inhibitor turret, leaving the inhibitor itself standing.
Immortals do stay alive, but I mean, they lose 2 inhibitor turrets. They have such a split push disadvantage against this Kennen. The Kennen is always going to be able to threaten to knock that down if they're caught in a 4v4 situation. There's no more protection for Flame under a turret, and it's going to make that very, very hard for him. And unlike game number 1, FlyQuest have super clear win conditions, very easy to execute. You just simply go for the 1-4 as your opponents did to you last game.
This is really interesting. Ball is actually going Wit's End on the Kennen, which normally in most games is super not good mathematically, but Flame is hard armor stacking with almost no HP at all and very little magic resist, right? Frozen Heart Ninja Tab, you're going for Randwoods, which has like 300 health on it. So it actually works pretty well in this regard of adding some magic damage to the profile against an armor stacking champion.
And I think the other aspect of that is who else could possibly answer you? Well, it's Pobelter on the LeBlanc, right?
So
and having some MR against that is really going to help because you already have the HP built up. You have Phantom Dancer, so the HP from Frozen Mallet, Phantom Dancer, Wit's End, and the lifesteal like really makes it tough for Pobelter to actually be able to win that 1v1. So that itemization is very powerful there.
Yeah, I think you would, like, if you want to just kill Flame, I think Lord Dominic's is still more damage, or even going for another Zeal item is more damage, but you're right, it hedges your bets. It's kind of nice right here and now Moon in a 1v1 with Flame. Knocked back for the rest of the team, and now pops ulti for a retreat path, and they know they can't catch him anymore. Still waiting around for the opening. Onto the mid lane, we can see more attempts by FlyQuest. They know the top inhibitor is open. There's no turrets defending it, but looks like the play instead is going to be towards Baron Nashor.
And Moon is running over there. Always a chance that Smithy could try to steal this, but it's going to be really tough. They know that they're on it now. They do have the Scuttle Crab down, so we'll see if Smithy can actually pull something off your Flame. We'll need to PvP very fast if he's going to do it, and in he goes.
Can they shock with Smithy? Yeah, they shock him out of the queue, and the spike comes in. Blue team secures FlyQuest, make it happen.
Cody's on the side.
Trying to buy some time. Cody Sun finds the feathers. He finds the root. A lot of damage on the back line. Body Slam is in Flame. Cannot kill off Wild Turtle, though he's shielded up enough. 2 for 0, and there's no damage left as Cody Sun has fallen. The play was almost good, but the rest of the engage wasn't quite there. 2 for 0 plus the Baron.
Yeah, Cody Sun tried to go aggressive, make something happen, but he gets stunned up, he gets taken down, and FlyQuest should be closing this one out.
Almost no chance to lose it now. Balls TP in the bot lane, and this time around, your TP top laner onto the base might work out a bit better. You can see the tankiness actually kind of there. The Wit's End means he won't die to Pobelter nearly as fast and survives it all. There's a kill picked up onto Smithy, and FlyQuest finally get their first game win. It took 6 tries, but they will win one over Immortals, and we're going to game 3.
But hey, they're still alive in this series. They can look to improve to 1 and 2 if they can take down the next one. But definitely a much better game here from FlyQuest. I think clear game plan that they were able to execute very well. And to your point, Balls has been playing very good. He played a great game, I think, on Kennen. Really unlocked them in the split push. And everyone on FlyQuest looked like they had just a pretty strong game.
I absolutely agree. Pretty strong game down the line. 18K for almost exactly for the Ken and the Orianna and the Ashe right here. So the backliners were all doing very well. This felt like a solid full team win for FlyQuest. Yeah. Moon on the Rengar 4-0-6. Elimination on the Lulu 1-0-8. The early laning phase was difficult. It was being won by the Immortals duo. They finally stepped back up in their 2-on-2, but this felt like a solid FlyQuest as a team win where they made a lot of good choices and they outplayed their opponents.
And they did, and I think that, you know, Immortals drafted themselves into a position where they would have to be able to pull off these team fights very well, because Kennen is naturally going to be pressuring, going to be winning in those side lanes. That's just going to happen against the Gragas. So they never really were able to be on the same page. It never felt like there was a time where Flame was engaging and knocking someone into his team that they could get a kill on. It always felt like he was a bit off on his own. You know, sure, he hits an ult on a carry, but his team is nowhere near. You know, it never felt like it all came together. And for Cody-san as well, like, I thought he had a strong early game. He had, you know, the pieces in place to perhaps carry this game, like a massive amount of farm. He had a ton of gold by the end of the game, but
most damage in the game as well, but just not the supporting cast.
Not the supporting cast, but also I felt like his ultimates were not really on point. It felt like he was not able to avoid the critical CC in any of the team fights with his ultimate, which I think is a massive part of that fight.
You're absolutely right.
If he is able to, you know, ultimate in that Baron team fight, the initial stun, then he has this QSS for the Kennen stun. Like, maybe he actually turns that around, right? And I think he was very close, but didn't pull it off quite well enough.
Right, and to kind of add some context, right? Like, you can be a good Lee Sin player, but if you never land the ultimates, you never quite did your whole thing right there. And there is a execution requirement to be really, really good on certain champions. And you're right, like, missing those ultimates, a big deal for him. We do have a replay to show up. It's that final Baron fight that was just a nice shot call and a well-timed shockwave to stop at Smithy.
Yeah, the shockwave from high was beautiful. They kind of put them into this position where they have to try to go for it. He's trying to take the Q, but he gets pulled back out of it. Pole Belter goes in. Now watch Cody-san on the bottom side. Ole probably should be with him. He's getting so much initial damage, but does not actually ultimate the Wild Turtle stun there. So then he does not have his QSS for right now when he gets actually stunned up. He can't avoid that. And you know, these guys were legitimately, a couple of them were 1 or 2 autos away, you know, 1 or 2 crits away from getting taken down. And had the team moved down and supported him, and had he been able to reactively ult that Ashe arrow, which admittedly is very hard.
Yeah, it's real short range.
It's really hard to do, but that's one of the things that if you're going to play a champion like that and your strength is using the ultimate to avoid CC, you must be able to pull it off, or you're not really utilizing the champion to its fullest.
Yeah, I agree with you. So unfortunately, some misplays out of the team, but a well-deserved win for FlyQuest, finally getting one on the board. So now for a deeper dive on that FlyQuest win, let's hand it off to the analysts. And Riv.
Yes, we are still here. Thank you, gentlemen. We are going the long haul today. 3 games on each stream all the way around. And this one for FlyQuest, as well as TL just had. First win of the summer split for themselves as they look to take this entire match, but they still have another game ahead of them, and Immortals is still putting up a fight.
I like the team comp they put together this time around. It's a pretty easy engage comp. If you land the Rengar initiation, you blow your Orianna ultimate. You can also have the Ashe starting it off. A lot of engage tools, a lot of playmaking. Obviously, FlyQuest loves playing that style. And then you also have the split pushing Kennen as well to draw some pressure around the map. And if you can get that going as well, like, Rengar has a lot of options here, not forced to just go mid because the Ori ball's there. He has initiation in every lane.
Yeah, and I also like the Lulu pick here as well, because it's a champion that we haven't been seeing so much lately because people are favoring playmaking, shoving supports, and Lulu did take a nerf, right? So the reason that they take this as well is it stops the Lee Sin playmaking, and it also stops the LeBlanc as well during that late game of distortioning in and just having her way with a team fight, where now you have a chance to at least burst her and get her on the way out. So I do like the Lulu pick in the second round as well, which did kind of round out the composition and play against what Immortals were trying to do.
So is it actually for FlyQuest, because they always seem to flex and do things with their composition, does putting something as support down here and leaving the playmaking to other positions kind of helping them out, per se?
I think so, because we talk about high and always having a great Orianna. He still gets a solo kill in this game. It's not like by taking this kind of standard team comp, you're limiting their craziness. Like, FlyQuest will still find openings with the way that they actually choose to play the game out. And that's kind of what happened here, where they get the first kill mid, and then Immortals put some pressure back at mid, then they trade turrets, and there's kills going down in both side lanes. So both these teams are very capable of playing scrappy, even if they're playing these standard kind of more shield-oriented comps.
And this one actually being quite a fast-paced game. We pulled up our first replay at 23 minutes, and that was an ace at Baron. So you can see just what kind of clip this game was at as we approach this mark.
Yeah, this was a little bit awkward because you look at the setup and you're like, Immortals kind of have no business being at that Baron, except for the fact that they have some Mountain Drakes, and maybe they thought they could do it. but then they just get completely turned around on it. Disgusting Orianna play.
Yeah, I mean, like, Kennen had no TP. Maybe you think he's far enough away to not get involved in the fight, but if your only advantage in this game currently is basically we have Mountain Dragons and hope they don't react fast enough, they weren't even like in the pit trying to avoid it. They were still fronting it, you know, trying to pick that fight, and they just get blown up. Ace, the game completely explodes there. You see even game essentially to 5,000
Guess where
goal
this happened.
Yeah. I wonder where they made their bad decision.
Yeah, and it's just a strange one because there wasn't really any motivator behind it, like we said. It's like they didn't have to do Baron there. Nothing really said you can do Baron at this point. And then even the way that they played that out, it looked like the team once again got split, saying, all right, it's time to turn, or we should actually finish the Baron. And it looked like that 50-50 where everybody was kind of all over the place.
They were under like a little bit of pressure because Kennen versus Gragas, of course, the Kennen's going to push you in, and maybe you're scared about the Ori, Rengar, Ashe scaling. But at the same time, you don't throw the game on the hunch that you're going to get out-scaled potentially.
Yeah, but you do have like the LeBlanc at that point to maybe answer the Kennen. So you have like other options,
Yes,
and like double teleport, right? So I feel like you could leverage the double teleport and make cross-map plays and possibly get yourself a Baron off of like a numbers advantage or unanswerable TP, but there was just really no setup.
From FlyQuest as well, we see him kind of moving away from what everybody's doing in 7-11 bit. We still see the Ziggs. We still see High bringing back the talent in the mid lane. So these guys have a little bit more to show us and possibly maybe take this one over Immortals again.
Yeah, even the Rengar pick to an extent is something that Moon always played that extremely well, and now that it's not extremely meta, you're looking at like, oh, he played this well again. Do we start banning it, even though it's not considered a super strong champion in the meta? These are the kind of questions that Immortals is going to have to find the answer to in Game 3.
So going to picks, before I should say go to commercials, picks and bans, what do we think is going to be formidable for each team to start off here?
I mean, I like whenever I see Gragas for Smithy. I don't think he had the best game personally, but I like generally for that pick and what he's able to provide for the team, I want to see more of that. And then I'm not sure about Pobo because he's been hot and cold over the first 2 weeks.
Yeah, I feel like Immortals will once again pick up the Rengar and Orianna bans for themselves that they had on blue side previously. I think those did them a lot of justice, and they were able to kind of show that if you can hide behind this Orianna safe laning phase, get you out from under that, and what like we talked about, High and Moon together with those two champions is just something that you really don't want to play against at any point.
High and Moon, always a good combination. So the teams are all tied up. Meet us back here for Game 3 to see if Immortals or FlyQuest walk away with the match win. Don't touch that mouse.
Stop threatening about